Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History Coin Hunters and History Lovers. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic coins in American history, a humble piece of copper that has sparked the curiosity of collectors for generations. We're talking about the United States 1-cent Lincoln wheat penny from the year 1950. At first glance, it might just look like a regular old penny, but by the end of this video, you might find yourself checking your change jar for a tiny coin that could be worth a small fortune. Stick around, because today's story is packed with history, hidden secrets, and a surprise twist that might just leave you speechless. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Let's start by taking a journey back to 1950. America was booming in the post-war era. The economy was on the rise, suburbs were expanding, and cars filled the roads. Television was entering American homes, and a new sense of prosperity was in the air. Amid all this excitement, the U.S. Mint continued producing coins as it had for decades, quietly, efficiently, and without much fanfare. One of those coins was the Lincoln wheat penny. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real person. The front, or obverse, shows a right-facing portrait of President Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Simple. Dignified. Timeless. On the back, or reverse, you'll see two wheat stalks curving up each side, surrounding the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. Above that, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. These wheat ears gave the coin its popular nickname, the wheat penny. But here's where it starts to get interesting. While millions of Lincoln pennies were produced in 1950, not all of them are created equal. Some carry a tiny letter beneath the date, a mint mark, that tells you where the coin was struck. Most 1950 pennies were made at the Philadelphia Mint and have no mint mark at all. But others were minted in Denver and San Francisco, carrying a little D or S under the year. Now, here's the twist. Collectors have found that certain versions of the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny, especially those from Denver and San Francisco, are not just rare, they can be exceptionally valuable when they're in pristine, uncirculated condition. Why? Because most pennies from that time were used daily and worn down quickly. Finding one in near-perfect condition, with crisp detail and an untouched surface, is like discovering a time capsule from the past. But what makes a coin truly rare, and worth serious money, is not just its age or condition. It's the combination of low mintage numbers, historical significance, and collector demand. And sometimes, minting errors play a huge role, too. Some of the most valuable 1950 wheat pennies have unusual features, like a double die obverse, where parts of the design appear slightly doubled. Others might have off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or other anomalies that happen during the minting process. These errors, though unintended, are now considered golden treasures by numismatists, people who study and collect coins. Imagine holding a coin that, by sheer luck or fate, was struck differently than the rest, then somehow survived for more than 70 years without being damaged or worn. That's the kind of story that transforms a 1-cent piece into something extraordinary. And let's talk about the thrill of the hunt. All across the world, collectors search through old boxes, estate sales, coin shops, and even jars of loose change, hoping to spot that one coin with just the right mint mark, the right shimmer, and that perfect detail. It's not just about money, it's about history, mystery, and the excitement of discovery. So how much could one of these coins actually be worth? If you're lucky enough to come across a 1950 Lincoln wheat penny with a rare minting error, especially one that's been carefully preserved in mint state condition, free from scratches, discoloration, or wear, it could fetch an astonishing price at auction. And yes, we're talking about real numbers here. No exaggeration, no myth. In fact, one verified example of a rare 1950 Lincoln wheat penny, featuring a unique minting error and preserved in nearly flawless condition, was once sold to a private collector for a jaw-dropping $55,000. That's right. $55,000. For a penny. So the next time you're going through your old coin collection, or even just emptying out your pockets, don't overlook that small copper coin with Abraham Lincoln's face on it. It might just be a key to a forgotten piece of history, and a valuable one at that. Today, we're turning the spotlight on a coin that millions of Americans once held in their hands, many without realizing that a few rare versions could be worth a small fortune today. We're talking about the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a simple copper coin with a rich story, a touch of mystery, and a surprisingly high collector value when the right conditions are met. So before you toss that old penny back into the change jar, stick around, because this little piece of American history might just change your perspective, and possibly your bank account. Let's rewind the clock to 1952. It was an important time in U.S. history. The country was still riding the post-war boom. Harry S. Truman was in the White House. Gas was 20 cents a gallon. A brand new television set cost about $200. And throughout all this, the U.S. Mint was busy striking coins that would be used in everything from corner store candy purchases to phone calls at payphones across the country. One of the most common coins of that era was the Lincoln Wheat Penny. First minted in 1909, this coin was the first in American history to feature a real person, President Abraham Lincoln, on the obverse, or front side. Designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's dignified profile became a lasting symbol of honesty and leadership. Surrounding the portrait, the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1952, create a clean, bold layout that still feels iconic today. But flip the coin over, and that's where the nickname, Wheat Penny, comes into play. On the reverse side, you'll see two stylized wheat ears framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. It's a design that speaks to America's agricultural roots and its strength during the 20th century. This classic style remained in circulation until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Now, here's where things get interesting. Not all 1952 Lincoln Wheat Pennies are the same. If you look just beneath the date, you might spot a small letter, either a D or an S. These mint marks indicate where the coin was produced, D for Denver, S for San Francisco, and no mint mark at all means it came from Philadelphia. While millions of these pennies were made, collectors today are paying close attention to the condition, the mint mark, and in some rare cases, the presence of minting errors. Let's talk about why this matters. The vast majority of pennies from 1952 are only worth a few cents or maybe $1 or $2 in circulated condition. But here's the twist: if you find one that has been preserved in mint state condition, never used in everyday transactions, showing no scratches, wear, or discoloration, then you're looking at a coin that immediately jumps in value. And if you really hit the jackpot, that's when the story gets exciting. Some 1952 wheat pennies have what experts call varieties, or errors. These could include things like a double die, where parts of the lettering or numbers appear double due to a misalignment in the minting process. Others might have repunched mint marks or unusual planchet flaws. These errors often occurred during mass production, and only a few slipped through quality control. These rare features can dramatically increase a coin's value. Why? Because collectors love the unusual. The more distinct and well-preserved the error, the more likely someone is willing to pay top dollar for it. Combine a rare error with a high mint state grading, something like MS 65 or higher, and you're suddenly holding a treasure in the palm of your hand. Think about it: a coin made over 70 years ago, that once bought a stick of gum or a handful of candy, could today be a collector's dream. All because of its condition, its quirks, and its history. And here's something else to keep in mind. While these rare coins are incredibly valuable, many people have no idea they even own one. These coins are sitting in old coffee cans, passed-down collections, and forgotten piggy banks across the country. That's what makes this hobby so thrilling. You never know what you'll find until you look. So how much could a 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny actually be worth? If you're lucky enough to find one with a rare minting error, struck at the San Francisco or Denver Mint, and kept in flawless uncirculated condition, it's not just a collectible, it's a jackpot. Because one of these rare specimens has been sold to a dedicated collector for an astonishing $58,000. Yes, you heard that right. $58,000. For a penny. It's amazing what a little piece of copper can be worth when history, rarity, and condition come together. So, before you walk past that coin jar or overlook that old penny in your drawer, take a second look. You might just be holding a tiny treasure with a huge story behind it. Today, we're cracking open another chapter in the story of the Lincoln Wheat Penny, one of America's most beloved coins, and this time, our focus is on the year 1954. If you think an old copper penny can't be worth much more than 1 cent, you might want to stick around until the end of this video. Because there's more to the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny than meets the eye, and one rare version could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Now picture this, it's the year 1954. The United States is in the heart of the post-war era. Dwight D. Eisenhower is president, Elvis Presley is just starting to make waves, and Americans are dreaming big: suburban homes, shiny new cars, and a future full of possibilities. But while the world was busy changing, something quietly historic was happening in pockets and purses all over the country. The U.S. Mint was producing one of the final batches of the now iconic Lincoln Wheat Penny. By this time, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for 45 years. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, this 1-cent coin had become a staple of American currency. With Lincoln's steady gaze on the front and 2 elegant wheat stalks on the reverse, the design struck a balance between simplicity and symbolism, honoring a beloved president while reminding Americans of the nation's agricultural roots. But here's where it starts to get interesting. The year 1954 marked one of the final years of the Wheat Penny series. Just 4 years later, in 1958, the reverse design would be replaced with the Lincoln Memorial. That means the 1954 edition is part of the last generation of classic wheat pennies, and that makes it even more desirable for collectors today. But not all 1954 wheat pennies are created equal. Some have a tiny detail that makes a massive difference: the mint mark. If you look just under the date, you may notice a small letter. A D means the coin was minted in Denver, an S means San Francisco, and no mint mark means it came from Philadelphia. These mint marks are more than just letters, they're clues to the coin's origin, and in rare cases, the key to unlocking its true value. Most pennies from 1954 were heavily circulated, passed from hand to hand in everyday transactions. As a result, they often show wear, scratches, and fading. But a few, just a few, survived in mint condition, perfectly preserved with all their original details intact. And that's where the value starts to climb. Now add in one more layer: minting errors. These are mistakes that occurred during the production process, and they're incredibly rare. We're talking about things like double die obverse, off-center strikes, or repunched mint marks. These kinds of errors were never meant to happen, but when they did, and when they slipped past inspectors unnoticed, the coins that carried them instantly became collector's gold. A 1954 wheat penny with a dramatic mint error, struck at the Denver or San Francisco Mint, and preserved in uncirculated condition? That's a coin collector's dream. And as the years go by, fewer and fewer of these rare examples remain. Many have been lost, damaged, or simply forgotten in old drawers and dusty jars, but every once in a while, one resurfaces. It might be at an estate sale. It could show up at a flea market. Sometimes it's discovered by a collector who has no idea what they're holding, until they take a closer look and realize they've struck copper gold. And that brings us to today. Because while the average 1954 wheat penny might be worth just a few cents or a couple dollars, the rarest versions, those with errors, mint marks, and pristine condition, can fetch incredible prices on the collector's market. In fact, one such coin, a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a highly unusual minting error and nearly flawless surface quality, sold at auction for a truly staggering amount. And we're not talking hundreds. Not thousands. Not even tens of thousands. That one penny sold for an eye-opening total of $78,000, yes, you heard that right. $78,000 for a single, 1-cent coin. So, before you write off that old penny you found in a change jar or inherited from a family collection, take a closer look. Examine the date. Look for that little mint mark. And above all, check its condition. You might be holding a piece of American history that could change your life. Today, we're traveling back in time, right into the heart of World War II, to uncover the secrets of a small copper coin that millions of people handled without a second thought. But hidden among those millions, a few rare survivors have become prized collector's items. And if you're lucky enough to find one, it could be worth a fortune. Let's talk about the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin so common in its time, yet so coveted today by those who know what to look for. Imagine it. The year is 1945. The world is in turmoil. American soldiers are fighting overseas in the final, brutal months of World War II. At home, families are rationing food, conserving energy, and praying for peace. It's a year filled with sacrifice, hope, and history in the making. Amid all of this, the United States Mint continued to produce coins for daily use, quietly fueling the economy while the world watched the war come to an end. And among the coins minted that year was the simple, unassuming 1-cent piece, the Lincoln wheat penny, but don't let its size fool you. This little coin carries with it a huge piece of American history. On the front, or obverse, you'll find the face of Abraham Lincoln, etched with quiet dignity. His profile has appeared on the penny since 1909, when the coin was redesigned to honor his 100th birthday. It's a face everyone recognizes, yet few truly notice. Turn the coin over, and there's the classic wheat reverse, 2 wheat stalks arching along the sides of the coin, framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. It's a design that speaks to simpler times, when America's strength came from its people, its farms, and its unity. The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny came from 3 U.S. mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If the coin has no mint mark under the date, it came from Philadelphia. A small d means it was struck in Denver. An S means San Francisco. Millions were produced at each mint, but as every collector knows, it's not just about how many were made. It's about how many survived in perfect condition, and how many carry rare features that make them truly unique. That's where the story gets exciting. You see, during wartime, the U.S. Mint was under immense pressure. Resources were limited, machinery was pushed to the max, and mistakes, rare as they were, did happen. Some 1945 wheat pennies were struck with doubled images or repunched mint marks. Others were misaligned during production or even struck on the wrong type of metal planchet. These errors are incredibly rare, but when they occur, they create a one-of-a-kind coin that collectors will go to great lengths to find. Now imagine combining one of those rare errors with a coin that's never been circulated. No scratches. No wear. No signs of age. Just a perfectly preserved penny from 1945, straight from the mint to a collector's hands. That's the kind of coin that turns heads, and opens wallets. Most people wouldn't look twice at a 1945 penny. They assume it's worth a cent, maybe a few dollars to a hobbyist. But here's what makes coin collecting so thrilling: the value is all in the details. The date, the mint mark, the condition, and those rare, almost mythical minting mistakes. It's like a treasure hunt, one where the map is made of copper and the clues are hidden in the tiniest imperfections. And here's the best part. These coins are still out there. Hiding in dusty jars. Forgotten in attic boxes. Passed down through generations without anyone realizing their true value. You might even have one right now, tucked away in a collection you haven't looked at in years. So how much could a rare 1945 Lincoln wheat penny actually be worth? Well, if you've got a standard circulated version, you might be looking at a few cents or a couple of dollars. But if you have one in mint state, especially with a rare mint mark variation or error, then you're holding something truly special. In one remarkable case, a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny, struck with a rare mint error and preserved in nearly perfect condition, stunned the coin collecting world when it sold to a private collector for a jaw-dropping total of $88,000. That's right. $88,000. For a single penny. Just think about that for a second. A 1-cent coin, made during wartime America, held onto for decades, sold for more than the price of a brand new car. All because someone recognized its rarity, protected its condition, and understood its story. So, what's hiding in your collection? That old penny you found in a shoebox or got from your grandparents, could it be the one? There's only one way to find out. Take a look. Check the date. Look for the mint mark. Examine the coin under good lighting. And if you think you've got something special, get it appraised by a professional. You might just be holding a piece of history that's worth far more than you ever imagined. Today, we're going to talk about a coin that you might have overlooked 1,000 times, but by the end of this video, you'll never look at it the same way again. We're talking about the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny. A tiny copper coin, just 1 cent in value when it was minted, but under the right circumstances, it could be worth a whole lot more. Stick around, because this isn't just about a coin, it's about history, rarity, and the thrill of discovering a hidden gem where most people see nothing. Let's step back in time. It's 1951. Harry Truman is president. Color television is just beginning to change the way Americans see the world. Rock and roll hasn't quite arrived yet, but change is in the air. Meanwhile, at the United States Mint, the machines are humming, churning out millions of coins every day. Among them, the Lincoln wheat penny. Now, this wasn't a new design in 1951. In fact, the Lincoln cent had been in circulation since 1909. It was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real person, President Abraham Lincoln, whose image appeared on the obverse, or front, of the coin. Sculpted by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's profile is calm, noble, and familiar, with the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 1951, on the right. Turn the coin over, and there's the classic wheat reverse, 2 stalks of wheat curving upward along each side, framing the words, 1 cent and United States of America. It's a design that instantly evokes nostalgia, simplicity, and tradition. The wheat penny was about to be phased out just a few years later, making the early 1950s issues some of the last of their kind. But what makes the 1951 wheat penny special? First, let's talk about mint marks. This year's penny was produced in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins have no mint mark. Denver coins are marked with a small d, and San Francisco coins show an S, both just beneath the date. Millions were minted, but not all coins are created equal. While the average 1951 penny might be worth a few cents to a casual collector, certain coins from this year are in a whole different category. We're talking about coins that were struck with rare minting errors, or preserved in near-perfect condition, something called mint state. These aren't your average pocket change. These are time capsules, untouched by circulation, with sharp edges, bold luster, and flawless detail. Mint errors are where the real surprises come in. Sometimes the dies used to strike the coins were misaligned. Sometimes the date or mint mark was accidentally stamped twice, called a repunched mint mark. In extremely rare cases, coins were struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, creating truly unique pieces. These mistakes were not intended, but when they happened, they turned ordinary pennies into one-of-a-kind rarities. Collectors go wild for these coins. And when one surfaces that combines a mint error with exceptional condition, the value doesn't just climb, it skyrockets. It's not just about scarcity, though. It's about the story. A coin from 1951 that somehow made it through decades without a scratch, without being spent, dropped, or forgotten. A coin that still gleams like the day it left the mint. It tells a story of survival. Of being found, treasured, and preserved while millions of others faded away. You might be wondering, how would I even know if I have one? Start by looking at the condition. Is the design crisp? Can you see every detail in Lincoln's hair, his jawline, the wheat stalks on the back? Next, check the mint mark. Look closely for doubling, misalignment, or anything that seems out of the ordinary. Sometimes it takes a magnifying glass to see the clues, but those little details could be the key to unlocking a major payday, because among all the 1951 pennies that were minted, a few have surfaced over the years with these rare qualities. And those few have stunned collectors and experts alike. One of those rare 1951 Lincoln wheat pennies, bearing a unique mint error and graded in exceptional, near-flawless condition, was once sold at a major coin auction. And the final price it reached? It shocked the room and made headlines in the numismatic world. That single copper coin, originally worth just 1 cent, sold for a breathtaking total of $80,000, yes, that's right. $80,000. For a penny, and it's not just a one-time fluke. It's a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things are hiding in plain sight. That the smallest details can mean the biggest rewards. And that something as ordinary as a penny can hold extraordinary worth. So take a second look at that old coin jar. Dust off your family's coin collection. Because you never know, the next treasure might already be in your hands.